Hi, welcome to Live on KEXP at Home. I'm Cheryl Waters and so grateful to be here today. And thanks to everyone who's watching. Thanks to everyone who supports KEXP. We're a listener powered station and supported by our listeners. You can hop on over to kexp.org and make sure we can keep sharing great music with you from our favorite artists like Phoebe Bridgers, who's here with me today. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. So great to
Hi.
see you.
Great to see you.
You look fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you. You too.
Maybe I'm overexcited because I haven't seen too many people lately.
Totally. I feel similarly.
Yeah, it's so nice to see a human face. Thanks for doing this. I know you've been on a roll doing all kinds of promo lately, and for a good reason. Your new album, Punisher, came out June 18th on Dead Ocean Records, and I just have to tell you, it is so wonderful.
Oh, thanks so much. That's so nice.
It's hard to believe it's your second Phoebe Bridgers album because you've just been so busy the last few years. I feel like you've
Yeah.
been putting out one record after another.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. It feels weird.
you and your band were meant to be on tour right now. Is that right?
Yes. Oh, a distant memory.
Sorry to bring that up. You tweeted back in March that the only thing more than I hate than touring is not touring. It sounds like you're really aching to be out there on the road playing these new songs and connecting with a live audience.
Yeah, totally. I miss stuff that I hate. I miss complaining about tour. I miss the airport every day. I miss not sleeping. I miss being around my friends. Yeah, I miss so much of it.
You must really miss your band right now, too. I mean, you're pretty close. You have a tight-knit community of friends, I know, in the music industry and other friends as well.
Yeah, it's real weird not seeing everybody every day and having to schedule Zoom calls, but we do it.
It has to be exciting, too, thinking about going out on tour, and you will go eventually, but your tour for Stranger in the Alps was fantastic. I saw you at least 2 or 3 times on that tour, but with only one record out, you didn't have a ton of flexibility with your set list, and you have to be excited about going out now and having all these songs and being able to mix it up every night.
Definitely, especially having made a record with that in mind, like it in mind that I like playing up tempo songs. Yeah, it was meant to be played live.
You're doing a lot of press for this record, and I've enjoyed some of it. I've read a lot of stuff. I've watched some things, and whether or not we're in quarantine, I never really think about it. But in some ways, especially if we're talking to print media, it's probably not that different. I mean, how did you do that before? I mean, a lot of that probably was already on the phone and maybe over video chats.
Yeah, the difference is like you step away from a sound check, or you go on a long walk, or you're in the grocery store, or you go to a coffee shop and you just knock them all out. And so living in my house with just only connecting to people on my phone and then putting my phone down and being completely by myself is very different.
That sounds like a head trip.
Yeah, very much.
One of the things that's different is you're doing live performances from home, and I imagine that has to be like a whole new can of worms. I saw that you did the Kimmel Show from your bathtub, and that was a different one for sure. I thought it sounded awesome. I also love that your shampoo was like in the corner of the tub. But were you doing that just to do something fun and different, or I imagine it sounded really good in there?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not a great engineer, so I didn't really want to just be acoustic. I felt like the difference with this record is it's not that acoustic, so I just wanted to do something funny. I sang karaoke for Colbert. That was fun. Yeah, just trying to get creative, I guess.
Well, I want to talk about this new record, but you've been kind enough to record some songs exclusive for KEXP, and let's listen to a couple of them. These are from the new album by Phoebe Bridgers called Punisher. And is it Chinese Satellite we're going to listen to first?
I think so, yes.
All right, live on KEXP at Home with Phoebe Bridgers.
I've been running around in circles, pretending to be myself. Why would somebody do this on purpose when they could do something else? Drowning out the morning birds with the same 3 songs over and over. I wish I wrote it, but I didn't, so I learned the words. Hum along till the feeling's gone forever. Took a tour to see the stars, but they weren't out tonight. So I wished hard on a Chinese satellite. I want to believe. Instead I look at the sky and I feel nothing. You know I hate to be alone. I want to be wrong. You were screaming at the evangelicals. They were screaming right back from what I remember. When you said I will never be your vegetable, because I think when you're gone it's forever. But you know I'd stand on the corner, embarrassed with the picket sign, if it meant I would see you when I die. Sometimes when I can't sleep, it's just a matter of time before I'm hearing things. Swore I could feel you through the walls, but that's impossible. I want to believe that if I go outside I'll see a tractor beam coming to take me to where I'm from. I want to go home.
We're live on KEXP at home. Phoebe Bridgers, the new album called Punisher. That was Chinese Satellite. I heard Kyoto as the first song on the record because that was the first one that was put out there in the world, and loved it immediately. But once I was able to hear the full album, the first one I was drawn to after Kyoto was Chinese Satellite. I absolutely love that song. It's so beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
Tell me what the story is behind that song.
Yeah, so it's kind of about faith, weirdly. Like, I wasn't really raised religious, and I think I've always been jealous of people who had some sort of, like, drive in life, but I can't make the leap. Like, I just can't bring myself to, like, even conspiracy theories and stuff. I just can't. So yeah, it's just that, like, wanting to feel like somebody has your back, but feeling, like, totally alone. I think that's what the song's about to me.
Well, let's listen to another one. This next one from the new album Punisher by Phoebe Bridgers is called I See You.
Hello, Seattle. That's my best Anthony. Yeah, cool. This one's called I See You. Not inspired by Avatar.
1, 2, 3, 4.
but I feel something when I see you now. I feel something when I see you. It's amazing to me how much you can say when you don't know what you're talking about. But I feel something when I see you now. I feel something when I see you. I used to like you. I can't even get you to play the drums, 'cause I don't know what I want until I blow it But I feel something when I see you now. I feel something. I climb through the window again. Right now it feels good not to stand, and I'll leave it wide open. Let the dystopian morning light pour in.
Phoebe Bridgers live on KEXP at home. Now, see, now when I hear that one, I feel like that's my favorite song. That's what this record does to you. It is just really so strong from beginning to end. And I know I've read where you've talked about the excitement of releasing this record, knowing that people were going to listen to it after you'd built a fan base with your first record. And then, of course, your subsequent records with Boy Genius and Better Oblivion Community Center. How did it feel to finally release this final product out into the world? Albeit currently a very strange world.
Very strange, but also a relief. I think that there's like a fear when you make records, like the lag time is getting longer and longer between finishing and putting something out and showing it to everybody. So it's nice to just be on the same page with your fans and be like, these are my songs. This is what I'm working on. Feels great.
Even though we're at home in isolation for the most part, what kind of connection are you having with your fans? I hope you're getting some feedback.
For sure. It's interesting to be in lockdown with everybody else. Like everybody else is going through an isolated experience, you know, listening to my record, whereas I am showing it to people while they're in lockdown. It's not comparable to tour or anything, but, you know, like live Instagram shows. I'd never done those before. Those are interesting. Yeah, it's a weird time to be a creative person. I think that's not, you know, anything that hasn't been said a trillion times before, but it really is the weirdest experience.
I saw your Instagram live show with Pitchfork, and I love how every little thing I see you do, it's a little different. It was cute to see you, like, you had your head off to the side. And it was about halfway through, you're like, oh, I'm doing this because I'm reading the comments.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great. It must be so wonderful to have a group of talented and supportive friends join you on this record. Of course, your band is phenomenal, and please wax on about them if you like. But you
yeah.
had so many people stepping into the studio, not in the band. Talk about making the record.
Yeah. So in the band, we have Nick White on keys, an angel who has played with Bright Eyes. That's how I met Nick. Emily Retzis, who looks exactly like me, on bass. Marshall Vore on drums. Harrison Whitford on the guitar. Odessa Jorgensen on violin. And Charlie Hickey, my friend Charlie, sang Chinese Satellite with me. He's just like an amazing songwriter from LA. And something that I love about recording in LA is that just so many people swing by. Like I had Jim Keltner play drums on the record, just because he happened to be in the studio. Connor Oberst, Boy Genius, is on the record. Julian Baker and Lucy Dacus. Nick Zinner from the IAS plays guitar. It's just like such a cool community.
Talk about that recording studio. It sounds pretty cool. It sounds like people are just wandering in and out. It's a little bit like I would get whiplash.
It's amazing. So we made the first record in Tony Berg's back house studio, where he's made tons of my favorite records. And then between records, he moved to Sound City Studios that he shares with Blake Mills. And Ethan Gruska is the co-producer who I met making the first record. So it's like kind of the same vibe where Tony used to have this pool that was constantly full of random people and people swinging in and out, except on a larger scale. Like I said, Blake would have Jim Keltner, and then Jim would come play on my record, and Blake plays, like, what does he even play? He plays guitar on Halloween, and it's beautiful. And then clarinet on another song. That's really funny.
You mentioned the song Halloween, and that is such a hauntingly gorgeous song. I was listening to the whole album while I was out for a walk yesterday on repeat. And I know that the title track, Punisher, is about Elliott Smith, sort of in a way, and what a fan you are of him. I felt like the sound of the song Halloween evokes Elliott so much for me. I mean, that guitar that starts it off and then your voice comes in reminds me so much of Elliott. And the first time I heard it, I didn't even know Connor was going to be on the song. And then he pops in, and then it's just like more waves of Elliott coming through. Tell me about that song.
Yeah, so that song is a song that I had written with my friend Christian Lee Hudson. We just like, right when we first met, we kind of just like, we're like, oh, we should write a song. And I don't typically write with people I just met. But we had such a good time. We came up with that song, but the lyrics were wildly different. It was still kind of about like a dead relationship, but that you're staying in out of convenience or because you want comfort or whatever. And then the lyrics just started to like slowly change and shift for me. And then it was actually Connor who was like, oh, you always talk about like the Dodger Stadium murders that happened, like fans killing other fans of other sports teams. You should put that in there. It'd be really dark. So I thought it was fitting to have Connor sing on the song. But yeah, it's the darkest song I think I've ever written by far.
It's so beautiful, though.
Thank you.
Since I brought up Punisher, and that's the title track, tell me what that song means.
That song, well, do you know what a Punisher is?
I don't. I mean, I've been reading some interviews about you, and so I kind of get the idea, but I had before that.
It's my favorite thing to say. It's like somebody who's kind of overstayed their welcome in conversation. And I guess my fear is that I do that to people I'm a fan of, like, so if, like, I don't know, Patti Smith is somewhere and she's talking to her friend. She's like, oh, here comes my Punisher. That Phoebe girl or whatever. Like that's my nightmare, is to be somebody's Punisher. So I guess in the song, it's as if Elliott is alive and I'm doing it to Elliott Smith.
Well, and you must have Punishers now too.
Definitely. I definitely do. I feel like, I mean, I love my fans for the most part. They're the best ever. And it's just like, like-minded people. Obviously I put out the most personal stuff. So mostly the people coming back to me are exactly like me, or we share a lot. But then all kinds of, weirdos. Like I was once chased by a man who, as he was chasing me, was yelling, "I would never chase you." That was funny. That was punishment. That was punishment.
That sounds like it. You have such a rich and rewarding relationship with Julian Baker and Lucy Dacus, who appear on this record. Of course, you released the collaborative Boy Genius album with them back in 2018. And it sounds like friendships that go much deeper than the music. And I've heard you call yourselves harmony nerds, which was so awesome. I want to be a harmony nerd too, but there's definitely some magic in the air when you sing together. But your whole relationship sounds like magic.
It really is. It's just like, I mean, it goes way beyond shared experience at this point, but that's how we first connected, is just like a room full of people you don't have to explain anything to about your life. And now it's just dissolved into constant memes.
How have you been staying connected to friends and loved ones right now?
Memes. Lots of FaceTime, lots of Zoom. Yeah, the internet, basically.
I mean, that can get a little tedious after a while, but it's also just a godsend.
Yes. Oh my gosh, can you imagine if we were in lockdown during even just like MySpace era, we'd be so much less connected.
I know, we'd be on the phone all the time.
Yeah.
But seeing someone's face, there's just really nothing that compares to that.
True.
You were also supposed to go on tour with the 1975, and so that didn't happen. That's a bummer.
Big bummer.
Tell me about how, what that was going to be. Well, what was that going to be like? Let's just live through it now and feel that pain.
Oh, it was going to be great. I did an interview a while back where they were like, where would you be right now? And I Googled it, and it was Madison Square Garden. So I don't even know. I don't dwell too much in the life that I was about to have because it makes me too sad. But again, knowing that Maddie and the boys in that band are just as heartbroken for not being on tour. Like, nobody's on tour, obviously, except for like, people who don't care about human life. It feels nice to be mourning something that a bunch of people are going through the exact same thing.
One of your shows, maybe your first show, I think maybe the Phoebe Bridgers shows, was supposed to be in Japan. Is that right?
It was, yeah. Well, I was going over with the National, actually. And so that was going to be great.
Yeah. When were you last in Japan?
February of 2019.
I'm so envious. Everyone I know who has gone there is completely in love with it. And
It's the best.
Sounds like such a captivating place. What was your impression of it? Because it sounds like you had some mixed emotions while you were there.
It wasn't, well, I think what was so mixed about it was that it was the most beautiful place, hands down, I've ever been. It's like a place where if you consume a lot of Japanese media, and you like love Japanese food, I think that it is pretty accurate to the beautiful movies that you see of Japan. It's just like the most picturesque place. Everybody is so kind. I love the like concert culture is very surreal. Everybody's so polite. You almost think they don't like your music. Like there's no screaming in between songs. But I was going through kind of like some emotional turmoil while I was there, and just realizing that doesn't go away, even if you're in a beautiful place, is kind of what I wrote the Kyoto song about.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Exactly.
Well, since you bring that up, let's hear the song Kyoto from Phoebe Bridgers' new album, Punisher. We're live on KEXP at home.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So I got bored at the temple, looked around at the 7-Eleven. The band took the speed train, went to the arcade. I wanted to go, but I didn't. They called me from a payphone. They
Oh, that was great.
Thanks.
Phoebe Bridgers live on KEXP at home. That song Kyoto is from the new album Punisher. And I love these videos that you've done for these songs that you're presenting today. Who did those?
Just a couple friends of mine, with some cameras that have done stuff for me before. Um, some people I haven't met, so I won't say their names.
Okay.
And but
Some people are so talented.
yes, so good. But yeah, we did it at Sound City, with my drummer and guitarist, and then we green screened them, the bassist and keyboardist and violinist in. It was fun.
Super fun. They're fun to watch. I also love the video for the song Kyoto that you did as part of your not these. Well, I did love this video as well, but you know what I mean. And I know originally you were going to film some of the footage in Japan before the coronavirus made that impossible. But I love the little smile and the woo you give when you're flying in that video. It shows so much of the personality that you have that's not so serious, that people hear in your songs, but you definitely
Appreciate
have a
that.
lot of fun with them. You mentioned this right before we played that song, Kyoto, but Punisher also explores a depression that you can have while you're on tour. And have there been any unexpected benefits for you during this forced pause?
Definitely, got a new therapist. So definitely, I think it's forcing, I mean, the trite thing to say is it's forcing a lot of us inward, but it's forcing us to deal with stuff that can go unchecked in normal life. And I guess my hope is that people don't forget that when they go back into the world, how much they need, like, to be able to comfort themselves. I definitely need that because I was alone for a lot of quarantine.
You started writing Punisher quite a few years ago, somewhere around, I think I read 2016. And you said that Garden Song, which is essentially the first song on the record, is a bridge from your last record to this one, even over those intervening years. Can you tell me a little bit more about the idea of how those two connected, how the two records are connected?
Yeah, well, I think Smoke Signals is the first song on the first record, and it's a pretty miserable love song. It's a lot just about myself, and I think Garden Song is kind of just a more evolved love song, if that makes sense. Like, I think there are a lot of mirrors. Like, Motion Sickness on my first record is pretty resentful, and then Kyoto on this record is resentful, but I'm making fun of myself for being resentful and maybe trying to work through it a little bit more. I think there's a lot of thematic, just like back and forth.
I really think that it's just such a beautifully sequenced record. And Garden Song, I said, essentially the first song, but there's also this short little piece, the DVD menu that's before that, which is, short, but such a beautiful song in itself. And sequencing seems really important to you. I know I recently made a playlist that was available for the public. It was a couple hours long. And someone emailed me to tell me how much they loved it. And they said, I put it on shuffle and the first song to pop up was so-and-so. And I mean, I just hit the spot. And then it was just like dead on from there. And that was actually the last song that I put on a 2-hour playlist. And I was really happy to hear that they loved it. But I also was like, no, you have to listen to it in order, put a lot of thought into how it would flow. And of course, that doesn't compare to a songwriter, but it sounds like you really put a lot of thought into how the record's going to flow.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it on my first record. And then at the last possible minute, I met Connor Oberst and was like, well, you just sequence this for me. And he did a great job. But this record, I think I was thinking about it the entire time, which is pretty rare for me. Like, I was like, okay, this is song 7 for sure, or this is song 9. And I love the way it flows. I think I like storytelling with order.
One of my favorite songs on the record is In the End. And I mean, I don't even have words to describe how that makes me feel. It is such a magnificent song. And the video is so arresting. I really cannot listen to it enough. And I mean, just so powerful and majestic. Tell me about that song and how that came together, because there's so many people involved in it.
Yeah, well, it's every single piece of it was the most involved, and I think it's the most representative of the record for that reason, because it was the first song I started writing in the end of 2016 with my drummer Marshall, and then it was the last song I finished because I decided it needed a big outro. Um, yeah, and then the recording process, obviously, it was like everybody involved with the record and more. So a band called More, who was in the B room when we were in the A room, just came in to sing. My friend Tomberlin, Sarah Beth came to sing. Connor's on it. Yeah, it was a blast. Nick Zinner plays guitar at the end, like shreds. It was so fun. Marshall got to play two drum sets. It was the most fun to make.
Have you thought about how you'll play that when you tour?
I've done nothing but fantasize about that.
I
I
mean,
can't
for sure
wait
you have to play it.
Oh, definitely. I'll probably have like a sample of my scream though, because I can't wear out my voice every night.
No, don't do that. You've talked about structuring songwriting like as homework assignments, sort of forcing yourself to approach writing from different viewpoints. And I'm wondering how your songwriting has changed over the course of the past few years, and especially collaborating with other people and getting a view into how they songwrite. And then just in general, you're going to learn as years go by and you grow. But how does stepping outside of yourself sort of contribute to good songwriting? And how do you feel like you've changed along the way?
Yeah, I think my songwriting's just gotten better. Like I think that I don't avoid it as much. I don't try to sound like somebody else. I think my only issue now is every time I write a song now, I'm like, oh, it's like a Phoebe Bridgers cartoon. Because I've heard people imitate me very accurately. And now it's like just stuck in my head where I'm like, oh no, I'm doing that thing. But yeah, that's my next thing to get over. But yeah, hopefully I just get better. Every new song that I write is my next favorite, which I think is a good sign.
This week, I just saw the Gillian Welch cover that you recorded with Courtney Barnett as part of the Newport Folk Festival 3-day virtual weekend. And I mean, that is just like the Holy Trinity right there. You, Courtney Barnett, Gillian Welch. I mean, I love everything about that, except maybe that we all weren't at the Newport Folk Festival together. But tell me about that. Was that a live performance that you were doing?
No, but I haven't met Courtney, so it was a very cool, like weird quarantine thing to come through. I think we both covered that song. I covered on tour. It's just the best song about music streaming ever written. It's so good. I love Gillian Welch so much, and I love Courtney Barnett. So we connected over it, and yeah, like Courtney sent her version, and I sang over it. It was great, and then I got a very sweet email from Gil yesterday, which sent my heart fluttering.
Have you met her?
No. Oh, well, yes, actually in passing, but not, I don't think she knew that I made music at the time and I was just fangirling.
I don't think of myself as a punisher when you described that, but I ran into her and David in Paris once and I totally flipped out.
Totally.
I think I held it together pretty well. You got to think that, right? Or
oh yeah, for sure.
Well, speaking of covers, you've recorded a really cool one for us today. Let's play that one next. Do you want to introduce that, or do you introduce it for us? I think in the spot.
Yeah, it's my favorite Sinead O'Connor song. Here we go.
Thank you, KEXP. Here we have a Sinead O'Connor song.
Margaret Thatcher on TV, shocked by the deaths that took place in Beijing. It seems strange that she should be offended. The same orders are given by her. I've said this before now. You said I was childish and you'll say it now. Remember what roses. It's the home of police who kill black boys on mopeds. And I love my boy. That's why I'm leaving. I don't want him to be aware that there's any such thing as grieving. Young mother down at Smithfield, 5 a.m. looking for food for her kids. In her arms she holds 3 cold babies, and the first word that they learned was please. These are dangerous days. To say what you feel is to dig your own grave. Remember what I told you. If you were of the world, they would love you. England's not the mythical land of Madame George and roses. It's the home of police who kill black boys on mopeds. And I love my boy. That's why I'm leaving. I don't want him to be aware that there's any such thing as grieving.
You're listening to Phoebe Bridgers live on KEXP at home. That Sinead cover tune called Black Boys on Mopeds. I think that came out way back in 1990. Such a great song. And I didn't mention what song you and Courtney covered of Gillian Welch, but Everything is Free from Time the Revelator, another fantastic tune. Got some good covers under your belt there.
I love covers.
So if one of our viewers today wanted to know what you thought of the movie Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
It's the best movie ever made, I think. It was deeply affecting, which I think everybody thinks who saw that movie.
I know that you were posted on Twitter, and I just see that Lucy Dacus wrote, "Okay, be careful. That movie ruined my life. Have fun."
Yeah, it mildly ruined my life, but in the best way.
Well, talking about punishers, but no, not really. You've made so many friends in the music industry, and your band, so many talented people in that. The artists that you've met over the years, that you've played with, collaborated with, been on tour with. What do you think that the young Phoebe would think about meeting and touring and playing with these people?
See, I say this all the time, but like I'm living my specific dream. Like I could be living somebody else's dream. Like there's just every single person I've ever wanted to work with, like down to a T, I at least have like sung with before. So yeah, it's insane. It's like definitely watched some of my friends my now friends sets when I was a teenager being like, someday I'm gonna play with them. So it's super surreal. It's great.
Well, you've manifested that through your hard work and your incredible talent, and your new album, Punisher, is absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much for chatting with us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Miss you guys.
We miss you too, and we know we're going to see you soon. And this is just a nice little visit for now on the internet, but we want to thank all of our viewers for today. We have a lot of people out there who are watching this with us, and I appreciate you making those special songs for us and taking the time to talk. It's always great to see you.
Yeah, great to see you.
It's KEXP, where the music matters. Thanks, everyone, so much for joining us today.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.